You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here with TGI Sports Talk Sunday, stream of consciousness. How is everybody doing today? It's a cold, brisk December morning as we relentlessly approach Christmas, 10 days away. We'll have some news on some shows here maybe at some point today, but we want to welcome everybody watching today on Facebook. Our TGI Sports Talk page, our personal page. We're obviously on X and YouTube with TGI Sports Talk. We're also live on Roku on the National Streaming Sports Network, where we wish Mac McGrath continued progress in his little health issues he's going through. And we hope Mac is doing well and he's back in the saddle here soon. It just came off the big football show, and Sonia is filling in, hosting with James and Jack, and I'll get into a little bit maybe of some little not altercation that Jack and I had. Want to welcome the groups, obviously, that allowed me to share this to them as well. All the football groups, the baseball groups. This show gets shared to a variety of groups because of the content is quite varied. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, high among them. Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, the love of baseball, love for baseball, I guess. Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports. Let's Talk Sports, where Flo and the Gang do their main broadcasting, and they're also big supporters here. And Ken Krause at Golf Buds, sports of all sorts. And of course, a shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media, who does some great stuff out of Pittsburgh. Especially the Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Yours truly has been a guest there several times and has always enjoyed himself. And a quick shout out to SeatGeeks, as you saw the commercial for. Reach out to SeatGeeks if you're looking to get games, man. This is a and there's the you can scan that barcode, and you can download the app. Download the app so you have it when you need it. There's a great place to get tickets as cheap as possible, and you can get them late as well. And then also a shout out to Wesley Walker, former Jet wide receiver, all-pro wide receiver, great player. We had an interesting conversation. Went long. We had a long talk on the one-on-one with Keith Engle Friday. You can catch that on my page. All these shows are there for posterity, by the way. So all my mistakes and the things I have to take mea culpas for are there for eternity. We don't lose shows or tape like the guys like Mike Francesa always did at the Fan in New York. We don't do that. And my guest next week on 101 will be Jim Graziano, former standout at South Carolina. Mid-late 70s. I got to double check his time frame there. He played for the late, great Frank McGuire, who coached North Carolina before he went to South Carolina. Jim played 4 years there out of Long Island. Frank used to get quite a pipeline to Carolina, both Carolinas from New York, which was key to his success, really. And we'll talk to Jim about his career, college basketball then and college basketball now. And in 2 weeks, Don Beebe will be here. We got Richard Todd coming on soon. We got a lot of guys coming on. Good stuff. Anyway, who's here? Hopefully all that was heard. Good morning, Dave Guyette up in Amsterdam, New York. Probably chilly up there. Probably warm out in L.A. Danny Fuller must be feeling better. Danny, hope you're feeling better. You're with us at 5:30 a.m., so I'm guessing things are improving in your world. We can talk about some of the stuff we were chatting about yesterday during the Army-Navy game. I don't want your head to explode today on the show, though. That's a bet. I'm sorry. I didn't actually. That sounded better in my head than it did coming out. Hello, it's Paul Spot up in Wisconsin. CA down in the south west. I don't know what we were talking about there when I got you had commented on the Dave Campbell high school camp and recruiting. I guess it's something Dave Campbell runs in Texas. You can dive into that if you want. Michael Gott from over in the UK. Midday already over there. Good morning. Good afternoon, I guess, to you, Michael. Good to have you with us. Michael's been a great contributor recently. Billy Pulver, Merry Christmas, an early Merry Christmas to you, Billy. Good to have you with us. You must be in town, I'm guessing. If not, let us know where you are. Not just Dave Campbell's high school football page, but TXFBF live page as well. Both have live and highlights of football games, which means national recruitments, namely yesterday's. I see. Okay, good. Excellent. We'll check that out, though, CA. I appreciate that heads up. Lots to talk about today. I'll just do a little primer. It's your show, guys. I'm going to go where you go. Army, Navy. The last bastion of true sports is Army, Navy. There's no NIL money. There's no pro prospects. There's no transfer portal. There's simply the love of football. And it's fun. And I root for both sides, and I bet the over won for like the third time in 21 games or something like that. Navy pretty much dominated Army in the trenches here, outgained them close to 400 to 170, something like that. The quarterback, what's his name? Can't read my Blake Horwath. Horwath. I can't say his name. Why can't I say this poor guy's name, man? Bear with me 1 second. I'll get it. Horvath. Jesus. Blake Horvath. 204 yards rushing, guys. Wow. 277 yards rushing for Navy as a whole. Look, it's an entertaining game because of who's playing. And for me, it's got a different feel than any other football game I'm going to watch all year. So we got that to talk about. We had a controversial play, at least in the TGI Sports Talk group as a kid on Navy spiked the ball after a touchdown. I believe it was, help me out, I believe it was Brandon Chapman, if I'm not mistaken. And then a penalty was called. They called it for taunting, and we thought it was because a guy ran into it. It turns out, I didn't know this rule even existed, quite frankly. You can't spike the ball in college football. I think that's a simple answer to everything we were talking about the other day. I had found some stuff that said you could do it if it wasn't excessive, and I don't know exactly yet. I'm going to assume the rule is you can't spike at all. So anyway, big difference. Didn't make any difference in the game, obviously. Belichick to North Carolina. I'm going to tell you guys something. Bill Belichick's his desire to always coach college football that he talked about in his press conference didn't happen. Well, maybe he had this desire. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Bill Belichick, but I guarantee you that desire got much greater when he found out he wasn't going to get an NFL job in this cycle. I've gone to at least 15 sources on this and probably read 30 different articles, and almost to a T, they talk about the fact that his people told him there will not be a job for him this year, and maybe ever. But he has not closed the door in the NFL. If you think he has, look at his contract. He's got a $10 million buyout only until July 25th or July 1st, 2025. They haven't played a game. $10 million. That's nothing anyway in the world of college football. After that, it's $1 million. Bill Belichick still has given himself not leverage, but an opportunity to move back to the NFL easily if he should want to after even one season at North Carolina. Now, maybe he'll be successful. Maybe he won't. I think he will be. He's got an opportunity because of a weak conference so you go to a playoff next year. Anyway, we can talk about the Heisman Trophy. Travis Hunter, the vote a little bit closer than I would have expected, but Gianti had a great season, by the way. The playoff seeding has come up again, controversy. They probably need to reseed. You can't just simply have a static bracket, which is what they want, and have a fair Penn State's got a much easier path to the playoff semifinals, say, than Oregon does. Theoretically, they have to play an extra game. You can't, lose sight of that. Opt-outs are out of control as usual. We already had Marshall have to pull out of the game entirely when their coach announced he was leaving for another job, and 25 people opted out immediately. Louisiana Tech replaces them. Jets GM search includes Louis Riddick from ESPN, who's come up in these conversations in the past. Bill Belichick, it's come out in the last 2 days, and reached out to the Jets unbelievably. Bills Lions, a Super Bowl preview. Kansas City just keeps winning. Teddy Bridgewater, a former player in the NFL for quite some time, leads his high school alma mater to the Florida State Championship. Congratulations there. We got the MLB free agent market to talk about, the fallout from Soto. Good riddance, by the way. The trade market, Yankees with some big moves. Tucker goes to the Astros, one of the Yankees tips. The Lakers are not going to repeat in the NBA Cup. It's going to be the Bucks or the Thunder. Do we care? Doubtful. Trade season has begun in the NBA quicker if we want to get into any of that. College basketball, good news. Cancer-free diagnosis, I think a second or third time for Dick Vitale. I hope it sticks this time. There's no better ambassador for college basketball than Dick Vitale. Whether you like Dick Vitale or not, he's a great ambassador for college basketball. And we haven't talked a lot about it. We'll start to get into it in the college sports huddle, which has been football, and still will continue to be dominated by football until the January something. But we'll start to talk basketball there. Kentucky resurgent under Mark Pope as they moved into the top 10, I think the top 5 in the country. So some interesting stuff to talk about there. And by the way, I mentioned this on the a couple things baseball related as well. We want to give our condolences to 3 good MLB players. Our condolences to their friends and family. Bill Melton, former White Sox and Angel. Merv Retman, former Baltimore Oriole and Red. And Rocky Colavito, former Indian and Tiger. I believe Rocky Colavito was part of the only trade in baseball history where the batting champion was traded for the home run champion straight up, if I'm not mistaken. And then congratulations to Dick Allen, or maybe it's Dick, don't call me Richie, I don't remember exactly, and Dave Parker, who the ERAs Committee, the Veterans Committee, whatever they're calling themselves these days, elected to the Hall of Fame. So there's lots of stuff to talk about. Now it's up to you guys. So what do we got? Go. Paul Sabata loved it. Pure college football. It's the only place we're going to find true amateurism anymore in college sports is Army Navy. That's it. Love it a game. None of these kids are going to the pros. None. They're going to go serve their country for 4 years at minimum. Some will make a career of it, and they're going to protect this country, which is probably far more important. Not probably, is far more important than anything we talk about on this show. Right? Not that this show isn't important in the smooth operation of this country. By the way, one of my shows got taken down on some groups. I feel like it was Wednesday's college football huddle for political content. I mean, if I bring up politics, which do now and again come up, and this show is probably going to get taken down just because I mentioned the word, and maybe that's what happened. The Nazis at Facebook are amazing. I didn't lose it everywhere, but I lost it some places. They didn't take it down off my page. But if I mentioned politics last week on the college football huddle, it was in passing. So it's amazing that you can't even express a political, and some of the nonsense I see on the political landscape, and I'm not looking to get into politics deeply here today, by the way, to some of the nonsensical things I see. I'm sorry, on both sides of the aisle, my side and the opposite side, it's ridiculous. And then if you mention the word politics in the middle of a sports podcast, they take you down. Amazing. CA says Duncanville versus North Crowley matchup had Alabama's and Colorado's next quarterback, the nation's top wide wide receiver, going to Oregon. Well, there's certainly some good football being played. I'm assuming these are both Texas high schools. You didn't mention that, CA, but I'm going to assume it's Texas State Championship, which they play. Did they play that at AT&T Stadium? I know they used to play it years ago at the old Texas Stadium. I think that's what they call the Cowboys home field. Seen many documentaries on high school football about Texas high school football in general, and I believe they play the championships there. Yes, Paul, I know I said this yesterday, and I found some information on the internet, and I haven't found anything that really I found information both ways. I have found that you cannot spike in college football, and I have found you can spike if you're not taunting. If you did spike and it's illegal, then that in itself would be taunting, and that's what the unsportsmanlike contact could have been. After doing more research, I'm much less sure of myself than I was during that conversation we had on the Facebook, on our TGI Sports Talk chat. And by the way, if anybody wants to get involved in that chat, you're certainly welcome. Just let me know, and I'll add you to it. In any event, it's irrelevant, really. And if you can't listen, I'm not a proponent of spiking necessarily. I like to Barry Sanders hand the ball to the football to the referee, and as in Barry's own words, act like I've been here before and expect to be back. But a simple spike, kids should be able to celebrate. It's an emotional freaking game, man. Don't penalize them for spiking on football. It's just stupid. Good morning, Kenny. Got to be a little chilly up on the mountain today. It was 12 here, where we don't get the cold weather you get up on the mountain. Good point, Kenny. I hadn't mentioned this as part of the lead up, but Randy Moss, it's funny. I don't know if Randy Moss knew he was sick, but some viewers a few weeks ago on, I don't even know who because I don't watch pregame shows except for College Game Day. I don't watch any professional pregame shows. They're useless to me. But Randy Moss, a viewer had called in and was concerned about the yellowness of his eyes, and Randy went to get checked. I don't know if it was because of this viewers, reaching out via social media. I don't know if they made a phone call, social media, let's say, or he already was undergoing treatment, but he had announced that he was suffering from liver cancer, and he had surgery, I think a 6-hour surgery, where he came out declaring himself cancer-free, still needing to undergo radiation treatments, but we wish Randy Moss the best, and hopefully a full recovery. So great point there, Kenny. Thank you. It is a free speech country until you say something. You don't have to say anything that's what's the word that they like to use? Sorry, inflammatory. I don't know. I could have said something. I mean, I just speak my mind as it is, depending on what the situation is. I don't go out of my way to be political on my shows, but there are times where it comes up, and I have no idea. There's bots that do this that are programmed, Kenny. There's not people that are watching, all of these shows. I mean, there's a million of these shows like mine across the country. And, they've got bots, algorithms, whatever they have, looking for certain words put in the same, in a sentence, right? They may not even be in the order where they make any sense, but whatever. This is not the first time. If you remember a few years ago, my page got taken down for about 3 months, 2 months. I don't remember now, 2 to 3 months. My Facebook page, TGI Sports Talk's Facebook page, was taken down, and I was never given a reason why. Never. So it's free speech until you say something people don't like. And listen, I'm all for anybody being able to say anything they want, but you have to be prepared for the consequences, right? So I guess the consequences for me were I was taken down from some of these, and it wasn't the groups. I want to make it clear it was not the groups. I have another method I share shows to places in social media that Facebook controls the ability to do that, and they blocked it. So anyway, whatever. Matt Henry, good morning. Good to have you with us, sir. William Akins is with us as well. Good to have you guys as always. Good to have all of you with me. I love Sundays, man. You guys, I mean, this is so much fun for me. It's like just sitting at a coffee shop, and you guys tell me if this analogy works for you, or a bar, one or the other. For you who don't drink, we'll make it a coffee shop. And it's early in the morning, and we don't want people to think we drink at 8:30 in the morning. But to me, it's kind of like sitting around a coffee shop and just having a conversation, debating sports topics. Again, the stream of consciousness takes us into other avenues sometimes. But I love this show. It took me 4 years. Well, 4 years. It's been this way for about a year now to get this where I wanted. Not reading just scores. I'll go through some scores sometimes, depending on the level of conversation we're having and feedback and participation. But you guys drive this show. I make myself some notes. We have some topics that I can throw out there. But it's your show, and I have so much fun doing this show. It's the most relaxing, and I do get worked up, yes. But to me, that's it's a release, right, from the stress of the real world. Life isn't easy, man. But I have fun doing this, and it's 2 hours where we're talking about stuff that, and do I get worked up? Yeah, but it's fun for me. The back and forth is fun. So it's a conversation, just like you would have in a coffee shop in the old days, right? Or a barber shop. Watch old movies and whatnot. Barber shops were a place of people congregated for these types of conversations. Best matchup in Texas doesn't often occur in the title games, quarterfinals, and semis like yesterday. I think it's that way everywhere. I mean, even here in New York State, I think we see some of the best matchups, even in Section 2. In the state, you see better play in Section 2 here in New York than you see once they get into the intersectional play, at least the first rounds of it. I know Section 2, the sections they play way up in the north country of the state, they normally can't compete with whoever the champions are in Section 2. So I get it. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. Good to have you with us. Coffee shop, exactly, right? I love this show. Did anyone else see the... Yeah, you want to see the finals of the pillow. Was it on, Kenny? Because I talked about this one time. There was a time on the show where we talked about finding some oddball sports to talk about from time to time. Rick had found tackle basketball. Kenny might have maybe Kenny found it. I think Rick found it, but that in a month, the months that followed, I came across in the same day. We had just moved into our new townhouse, and I was sitting out on the back watching ESPN after the show, actually, and I turned on. I was waiting for a baseball game to come on. It was during the summer, and I found a pillow fighting championships on ESPN. These guys were actually fighting with pillows, and I also found foot golf, which is a big deal. You play it with a soccer ball, and they have holes. You can't see my whole arms here, but this big. So I didn't see it. Is there anything of note that came out of the pillow fighting finals? Oh, Michael Gott's got 3 decent football games here to watch today here on Sky UK. Dolphins and Texans. I like the Texans in that game. I missed the Thursday night game again. I'll do my picks as we go forward. You don't get the Buffalo Lions game. These are good games. Oh, you get the Bills and Lions. There you go. 4:30. We'll get that game here. I'll have to watch the Patriot game on the Dofu app on the phone. I get it on my phone and then mirror it to the TV. But I like the Texans in this game. Dolphins, the season's over for the Dolphins. Bills Lions potential Super Bowl matchup. Packers and Seahawks is a good game as well. I like the Packers and I like the Lions. Actually, I'm not going to bet that Lions Bills game. One of the bets I'll make today will be the over in that game. What is the over in that game, by the way? And I'll go through all the games later or at some point, whenever it makes sense. Since we're talking about it now, it's possible I do it now. The over is 54.5, and that seems like a gimme. So the score will likely be 13-10. That was winner yesterday in the over with Army Navy. Coffee with Keith. Yes, it is. Maybe I'll change the show. Stream of Consciousness, Coffee with Keith. Danny. That's a good one too. For knocking the opponent into the semi-tire. I think somebody showed me that one as well. There's a couple of things. I was watching a Christmas movie too, and it came up. Red. Red One, I think, was the name of the Christmas movie. It's really good with Chris Rock, or not Chris Rock, sorry, The Rock. Chris Rock. Dwayne Johnson. He actually is billed as Dwayne Johnson in this movie. It's a new Christmas movie on Prime. Well, it was in the theaters. It's free. If you have Prime, Amazon Prime, you can watch it for free. I thought I was going to pay $20 to watch this movie the other night, but it was really fun. And The Rock is good in it. J.K. Simmons is good in it as Santa. But I digress because they had a scene in it where they're doing a variation of the slap. There's professional slapping that goes on too. If you haven't seen this on some sports outlet, where the guy has to stand there and you just hit him with an open hand as hard as you can. You do this until somebody gives up. And they had a scene like that in this movie. I did see, I don't know if it came up on this show. Somebody sent me the link. I think it did come up on this show to the throwing the guy into the tires. I think I saw the video. If you have a video, you want to send it to me, I'll play it. Michael, I remember a wrestling type of game in India called Kabaddi. They kind of wrestle, but square off and try to touch and take each other. Michael, I don't know where to go with this. They kind of didn't wrestle, but squared off and tried to touch or tig each other. So I don't know if I have a big language barrier or this was like on the Playboy channel or Playgirl channel. I have no clue, man. I'm losing control here. Best bet in the NFL? Well, let me go through my picks right now. How about that? I'm going to do my picks. Nah, I won't. I'm going to do my pick. Best bet right now. To me right now, I think that over in the Bills is my best bet. Game-wise, I like the Broncos over the Colts. It's gone up to 4.5. It was 3.5 earlier in the week. I like that game. That's probably my best bet. I like the Texans over the Dolphins. I'm going to take the Chiefs. Don't seem to find a way not to cover. They just find ways to win. So, I'm going to say the Texans and the Broncos are going to be my two best teams to bet. I think my best bet of the day is the over in that Lions and Bills game. So, again, watch it be 13-10. Kenny had a foot golf in one of the courses that he worked. Kenny took care of golf courses. He was golf superintendent. I'm not sure what the title was. Makes sense. You can tell me what your official title was at some of these places, Kenny. I'm sure it was different. But Kenny took care of maintaining these courses and setting up hole locations and whatnot and keeping the course in great condition to play. So they had a foot golf in one of the courses that he worked. We use a regular hole, and if you hit the flag it was in, you refuse to put the holes in that my mowers could disappear in. I thought you were saying it was a separate golf course. So they played foot golf on the actual golf course, and if they hit the flag, it was in the hole. That makes sense. And that would be about, the circumference of one of these holes. It might have been a little bit bigger. But again, if you figure a soccer ball's, that big, so you've got, this size plus this size. So this size to hit the hole, which, again, it seems reasonable for a soccer ball. I'm assuming they played with soccer balls, Kenny. What's the time? Why? How am I doing? How far? I'm only 3 minutes behind. This is like a record. At 9 o'clock, I'm only 3 minutes behind on the comments. So either you guys are slow or I'm fast. I don't know which. I don't know, Paul. What are they getting now? Is it still 6.5? I guess it's going to depend on where you look. I got 6 as I look at ESPN. I've got 6.5 on one of the other betting apps. I do think the Patriots have a chance to win this game today. I would love to get some takes on Bill Belichick. We talk about the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I'm sorry. Listen, I followed Bill Belichick for 25 years plus. Closely for 25 years, even before that as an assistant coach with the Patriots, the Giants, more with the Patriots, obviously. And Bill Belichick is always thinking a step ahead, man. And I'm telling you, he's not gone to college because he wants a new challenge. I'm sure he's accepted the fact that there's a challenge to be had there. That's different. He's going there because there is no job for him in the NFL this year. And maybe ever. But he signed a contract that has made it very easy for him to leave at any point in time, even before the season starts. Next year. It's not going to happen. He's going to coach a season. I mean, as we said, he doesn't have a job offer. Now, he's left it open where if a job offer comes through, he can buy himself out for $10 million. That's not a lot in the world of college football when you think about what Texas A&M had to pay Jimbo Fisher and what Michigan had to pay Mel Tucker, which may change. But look at any of these big buyouts, $10 million, and then it's $1 million after July 1st next year before they ever play a game. Now, he's not getting a job. First of all, he's probably not getting a job in this cycle. He knows that. That's why he went where he went. But he's left himself free and clear to take a job next year. But he's burned a lot of bridges in the NFL too. So hopefully he's going to be successful in college and hopefully he likes it because he may not ever get an offer in the NFL again. He's burned a lot of bridges and that's becoming apparent. And people are not going to buy it as the Falcons didn't buy it last year that he will coach without the power that he had in New England. And let the people in the front office do their jobs without interference. People obviously are not buying that line. If the Seahawks lost to the Vikings, lose, I guess. If the Vikings lose or in the playoffs, that would mean I need to root for the Packers. Now, you don't have to root for the Packers. First of all, you could do it, I guess. It's hard. I found myself in similar situations having to root for the Jets in the previous years and teams I didn't want to root for, but it's early yet. I mean, Seattle's going to probably lose another game somewhere. It doesn't have to be here. So you can just take it as it goes, or you can win. I mean, I'm assuming if, the Vikings control their own destiny, they went out, they're probably going to be in, right? Where's the standings? I mean, the Seahawks. Oh, they're 8-5. Sorry. They're on a little bit of a run here with 4 straight wins. That's a better game than you think. And the Vikings are 11-2. They're 3 games behind them. All you got to do is win a game. I mean, they'd have to win out to pass you if you didn't win another game. I don't know what the tiebreaker situation is. You don't want to run into that. But if you win one more game, it's over. Again, I guess depending on the tiebreaker. 11-2, a tremendous season, by the way, Rick. I didn't see this coming. Again, my preseason predictions, I had 3 teams in the playoffs here from the North. One of them wasn't the Vikings. Our dart update, the PDC World Championships at Alexandra Palace start today. 11:30 a.m. for free on FanDuel TV. Finals will be after Christmas. Ravens over to Keith Giants. They're not the Keith Giants, by the way. You know, the situation in Giant land is interesting. By all accounts, Brian Daboll seems to be safe. You would think. But Shane is not. The GM is not. Now, how is Brian Daboll safe? If you're not going to bring a GM in and saddle him with somebody else's coach. So they either both stay or they both go, in my mind. You can't do that. That's a situation for failure going forward if you bring in a new GM and you saddle him with a coach he doesn't want. So to me, they both got to go. Or neither, and, let him give him another chance at this. But they made some bad decisions here, not keep finding a way to keep Saquon Barkley chief among them. 11:30, Eastern time zone, 11:30 a.m. for most of y'all. If y'all have extra TV or tablet, have the darts on with the football. It's hard because there's multiple football games to put on. That's the problem. When I am home, college football, I'm often out for the 1:00 games for the NFL, but so I watch, all the games at the place we go. College football, I might have 3 TVs set up in my living room for college football, and another one on my tablet, and another one on my phone. In Michigan, we had Frisbee golf. I've seen Frisbee golf as well. The course was made in our own woods, and it was a lot of fun. I heard they were going to try horse golf. How would horse golf actually work? I love this show. Oh. Danny, Belichick is one. We can win a debate no matter what the take you have to support. You can. Actually, it is. That's a great point, Danny. There's a way to have an argument in about 3 different directions here that, and you can find information to support it. I personally don't think he'll be successful in it, and could see a third firing. By the way, he signed, it's interesting too. So he signed a 5-year, $50 million contract with only the first 3 years are guaranteed. This opt-out, though, this buyout, it has me scratching my head. I don't understand it. And there's no way for me to spin that other than, and if somebody else thinks they can spin this in a different direction, the buyout part, let me get rid of this up here. I'm tired of looking at that. I want my brand up there. Not that one, no. Where's my other one? There it is. If somebody thinks they can spin this in a different direction, this buyout, any other direction than Bill Parcells, wow. Bill Belichick keeping his options open, I have no other way to spin that. Somebody else, this would have been a $10 million buyout or the value of the contract. $30 million buyout they should be before July 1st or whatever, $20 million buyout after 1 year. If the guaranteed years. I find a guarantee of only 3 years interesting. And that could be because of his age, quite frankly. We could spin it that way. But why isn't the buyout $30 million if he never coaches a game? Why is the buyout only $1 million after 1 year? By the way, there are tons of incentives that I don't know that are in other coaches' contracts, but we haven't seen other coaches' contracts. Necessarily all the details evolved. And we have not seen Steve mentioned as the successor in any of these contract details, but he's got some interesting incentives in this contract, by the way. Here's some of the bonuses. Let's see, did they lay it out in this one here? Here we go. Here's some of the bonuses on top of what he has. This is all on top of the $10 million a year. Win 8 games, $150,000. 9, $200. 10, 20, $250. 11, $300. 12 games, $300,000. Conference championship game. Appearance, $200,000. $300,000 if you win. Postseason, any bowl appearance, $150,000. Elite bowl appearance, $350,000. College football participant, $750,000. Quarterfinal appearance, $1 million. Semifinal appearance, 1.2. Championship appearance, 1.5. And championship, 1.7. So he's got a ways to increase. I mean, if he did all of that, I can't do math this fast. I mean, all of this, I guess you would start with the you have to start at the 750. So 750, if he gets to the quarterfinal, it's 1.75. If he gets to the semifinal, that's another 3 million. If he gets to the championship game, it's 4.5 million. And if he wins, he's now made $17 million for the year. Not going to happen. Danny says, I can make an argument either way for him being successful or not being successful, quite frankly. So I'm not sure. CA, fun fact, darts, and this is for you, Michael Gott, because we're not in the UK. Darts in the UK is only eclipsed by soccer by sports viewership numbers. But what other, I get it. What other, well, there's cricket. I don't even know what the other major sports would be. The darts you can put in there. Obviously, I know soccer is number one. I would have thought cricket was second. I don't believe we play rugby in England, but they might. Maybe Michael can weigh in on this. I don't know what would, other than the 3 sports I just mentioned, as CA brings up darts, I don't know what else would be major sports there. I don't know how that's relevant. Again, that might be relevant to his success. I would not be shocked that Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniel will be on his staff because it has come out as part of these revelations of his looking for a job in general, was that Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniel and Bill Belichick would gather, I'm sure virtually, every week and evaluate every game played that week and the team, and also coaching opportunities throughout the season. Plus, he's had his people that have ears and eyes around the league feeling the heat or lack of heat for interest in Bill Belichick, which there was no heat for. So I don't doubt that Patricia and McDaniel are going to be on this staff in North Carolina and would have been on his staff wherever he went in the NFL or does in the future. But again, other than him having success, I don't know how him having those guys on his staff will matter. And again, those guys haven't coached in college either. Here's my biggest problem. Bill Belichick, and people think, the portal is just equal to free agency and dealing with kids who on NIL money, and it's all the same as dealing with pros. It's not. You're dealing with professional agents when you're dealing with the pros, and that's what he's used to. Not some hangers-on that are trying to, pump up a kid that he's better than he thinks, and he's dealing with some 18-year-old kid who's going to demand playing time and demand this and demand that. I mean, there was an article I saw yesterday kind of outlining an example of a kid and what some of the stupid demands were And this is why Nick Saban is out of the game. He couldn't deal with it or didn't want to deal with it. So, yes, he'll have pros on his staff, Kenny. And listen, I can make an argument he'll be very successful, especially early on. The bling of those 6 rings. But the kids, I'm not. And kids thinking Belichick might be an easy help him. Because, again, he's talked about being a pipeline to the NFL and teaching kids how to succeed on the next level. He hasn't talked a lot about winning the ACC or winning national championships. He's really talked about being a pipeline to the NFL. But the idea is to win football games. That's why North Carolina's got him there. Did I touch on Campbell? No, I haven't touched on Campbell. Is it Devontae Campbell? Is that the kid's name? I don't know if they've cut him yet. Have they cut him yet? Let's see. That kid, and again, this is a guy who's played pretty successfully at different points. He's been a Pro Bowler at different places, but the Niners had him there as insurance, and he hasn't played as much as he would like. And he refused to go in the game the other day. That's a quitter, by the way, Rick. I know you like to use that word a lot. This is the epitome of quitting on your team. You're sitting there on a sideline, theoretically, to play and be ready to play at any point in time. And when they call on you because of injuries, you say no. And I'm not sure they've cut him yet because I think they're looking at ways to do it without paying him. And if they have cut him, let me know. And he started 12 games this year, by the way, but he was replaced once guys got healthy. But he just refused to go into a game. To me, he should have been cut right then and there. His reputation, Sean Merriman, former All-Pro linebacker, said his reputation is done. I'd be shocked if another team decides to pick him up after the season. I'm not sure what the 49ers have done with him right now. I'm not finding anything quickly that tells me what they finally have done. I don't think they've done anything yet. They're probably worried about the Players Association. Kenneth. Oh, it's Kenneth. Kenny, this is for you. Robert. And by the way, hi, Robert. Robert's a Seahawks fan, by the way. Your team, congratulations, 8-5. Playing decent football, especially for the NFC West. It's a bit of a backhanded compliment, I guess. You've got some great Frisbee golf courses out there. I play a lot in Seattle. There you go. I've seen videos on Facebook. It's easier than carting around those golf clubs, right? I mean, I'm a golfer. I'm not going to play Frisbee golf or foot golf. There you go. Kenny, didn't you take care of a course in Michigan at one point? Am I remembering Michigan? Maybe it was Ohio. Where were you? I know you were out of New York State. I know most of your time was in courses out west here in New York. But I have this recollection of being out of state as well. I don't remember if it was Michigan. Michigan's sticking in my head for some reason. Well, here's the thing. Belichick, Mike McCarthy wasn't going to get replaced by Bill Belichick, Bill. If there was a job opening in the NFL, and it's not about Bill and turning down jobs. By the way, this inner circle that I just talked about, McDaniel and Patricia and these other unnamed people that are Bill's circle that were evaluating teams. So the Bears is the best fit, but the Bears aren't interested. Probably because they have a GM who's concerned about the power structure within the organization and also his age. Listen, I'm an old guy too. I'm heading into my 65th year. I'm not as old as Bill Belichick or a couple of you guys, but ageism is a real thing. If I wanted to go to a different job, I would have a hell of a time doing it right now. I can tell you that. And it's real, because I mean, the Bears theoretically are a team that could turn things around quickly. There's talent there in that roster. But they also want an offensive mind and not a defensive mind at the head of this coaching staff. Mike McCarthy, I don't know, Billy, that he had anything to worry about from Bill Belichick. And by the way, the word from everything I've seen and doing some research here this weekend about McCarthy and his status is it's still up in the air. If the Cowboys finish strong, Mike McCarthy is safe. And Mike McCarthy's biggest plus in the area of keeping his job is the fact that the two biggest stars on the team want him to stay and have been very vocal. Dak Prescott, who maybe Jerry doesn't want to listen to because he paid him too much money. But Micah Parsons, who is and they're both leaders on his team, however you want to look at it. They're both leaders on his team. And among others, have spoken up very loudly to the effect that they want Mike McCarthy to stay. That has to play into the decision somehow. And Mike McCarthy, it's not like he sucked. I don't think the problem there is Mike McCarthy, by the way. The problem is the guy running the team. The Cowboys' problems are no different, really, than the Jets' problems. There is a culture issue in the front office with the people that run it. And, fish stink from the head down, right? And so do these teams. Jets only need to look at the fact that Woody Johnson has run this Jet organization into the ground. Jerry Jones, I mean, they went and won 12 games 3 years in a row before this. But they don't seem to have a mentality where they can win. And it doesn't matter who the coach is. At some point, you have to say, well, it's not Mike McCarthy's fault. I mean, Jerry has won one playoff game in 30 years. Jerry's teams. How many coaches is that? So at some point, it's not the coach. It's very similar. I mean, other than the Jets don't have the history the Cowboys have. One day humanity will learn from history. When's that going to start? Kings and queens to common folks that we don't bed who could be our sons and daughters, especially grandchildren's ages. What? Oh, we got to be talking about Belichick. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Probably. The world today, I mean, I don't get it. If that's what we're talking about, I don't get it. But I also don't obsess about it. I just don't care. It doesn't, because I focus on, well, I guess that's not true. I mean, I do focus on the sports part of this, the football part of this, right? Who his girlfriend is or who he's going to marry is kind of irrelevant. It's kind of creepy, but it's not illegal. And there are a lot of these relationships, I think, as you're talking about here, CA, that, Bill Belichick is not unique in this situation. That's interesting, though. Oh, boy, Billy shall pay his toll just like everyone else. I'm not sure, again, I'm not going to. Again, I find that a little weird. And why is she not going to pay any toll is my question. I mean, these relationships are consensual, so there's nothing. If there's moral ambiguity in these relationships, I can't believe I'm going down this road, but I will. And I am interested in some people's opinions. I'll probably get myself in trouble here. I'm not sure, but here we go. If there's moral ambiguity here, isn't it on both sides? It's kind of like the Me Too movement, right? I mean, in some situations, women have used men of power to give themselves power, even in history, CA. Now, that's not to say that, the Me Too movement was not important, and there were men that took advantage of people and their powerful situations to take advantage of young women or women in general. I don't see that the case here. The only one with anything to gain here is her. So to me, there's as much, if there's going to be a toll to be paid, she's going to pay as much or more of a toll than Bill Belichick. I'm just looking at this logically, right? So if we want to compare this to the people in trouble, say, in the Me Too movement. And my problem with that was not the people doing this now, the Harvey Weinstein, the pigs of the world like Harvey Weinstein and CBS News guy whose name is escaping me. That was Charlie Rose. Those people. I have no problem with what happened to those people and the like. But then we were going back 50 years to casting couch situations. You don't think that women were using men to advance their careers? I'm sure the men are, totally innocent in this. But you had people ruined too. Look at Kevin Spacey. By all accounts now, the charges against Kevin Spacey were all shot down and they were all made up. And again, did he put himself in a bad situation? Was he totally innocent? I don't know. But the man was ruined. I know that. I saw him on with Piers Morgan, and he's going to have to sell he has to sell pretty much everything he has to pay lawyers who defended him during the course of this. And again, maybe all the facts aren't out there, and maybe I'm overstating this, but just to go back here, I can't just say that in every situation is the same. I don't know what Bill should have to pay if she has none. She's free and clear in this. How? Just focus on this situation. I probably made it more murky by, equating it with what I did. But now I'm starting to fall behind in comments. But I probably opened up a whole can of worms here. But whatever. Having a staff of pro coaches will make it very appealing to young kids to get to the next level. But again, what about when those kids are coached the way Belichick coached professionals? You may see mass exodus of kids in the portal as well at some point. And again, that's not a bad argument. I certainly agree that it will make it very appealing, and he will do very well, at least at the outset, in getting good kids there, both through recruiting and the portal. Now, the word is he's not going to do a lot of recruiting. There's going to be a coaching staff, and there's going to be a recruiting staff, and the two shall not intermix. Now, maybe Bill's got to go close the deal somewhere, but I think you're going to see a Deion Sanders type setup here where Bill's not going and sitting on, at the kitchen table with mom and dad. The 49ers did cut him. I don't know that they did. I have not found where they have reported him. I can't find where I'm not saying they haven't. I'm sure he's not with the team, but I'm not sure that he's cut him. There's an article here in SI online that one day ago that they intend to part ways with Devondre Campbell, but have not yet. So, Robert, I don't know. Is he going to be gone? Absolutely. Hey, Mac, how are you? I don't know if you're still with me. How far behind on my comments am I? No, 9:20. I'm falling behind. 9 minutes behind is not bad for me. Mac, we hope you're doing well. Stay strong, buddy. And we hope to see you back soon. Mac McGrath from National Streaming Sports. Hey to Linda as well. Those who follow the Sea Chickens have a big game. What is Sea Chickens? Seahawks. Oh, okay. Robert Wardell is a Sea Chicken fan. They are leading the NFC least. Listen, the team that would be the best fit for Ben Johnson, Robert, would be the Chicago. And there's been talk. Now, Jeremy Bellerich, who comes on the show from time to time. I don't know if Jeremy's with us. I don't see him looking ahead in the comments. If you're out there, Jeremy, you can feel free to make a comment. He had said on one of my shows that Ben Johnson had a $13 million contract with Detroit. I can't find any place where that is even close to being accurate. Now, I do know that that's the type of money he's been demanding to be a head coach in this league, and that's one of the things that has kept him in Detroit, as well as much as the fact that he has a young family and he likes it where he is. How anybody likes? Oh, never mind. But I do think that he's going to go to a place with a quarterback that he wants to work with. I think he can be picky for now. Again, you got to be careful, man, because if things go poorly, look at the offensive coordinator in Texas, who was one of the hot jobs. What's his name? Sproul. Can't think of his name right now. I know it starts with an S. I want to say Sproul, but I don't know if that's correct. He was a hot commodity last year. He's a commodity now, but not nearly as hot as he was because the Texans' offense has sputtered at times this year. So you have to be careful you don't overplay your hand. And Ben Johnson and that Detroit, at some point, that Detroit offense is not as good as it is now. This would be a good time for Ben Johnson to make his move. And I think the Bears would pay handsomely for Ben Johnson. I think that's the best fit for Ben Johnson. And Detroit's worst nightmare is to lose him within the division. I was right about Michigan at Thoroughbred Golf Course. If you know that, Robert, great course, had a huge, and I mean huge, music festival. The Electric Forest bands 24 hours for 3 days. Cool. Little mini Woodstock there, or maybe not a mini Woodstock. Elephants with light all over them, thousands of people. So that sounds like a Woodstock type event in Michigan. Were there really elephants, Kenny? It is Bill's business, I don't know. I can't get too wrapped up in that whole thing. I probably went too deep into it, and I apologize. There's my guy, AC Knight. How are you, AC? Good to have you with us tonight. This morning. Good grief. AC is my cohort in rooting the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame onto a national championship, as there's buco bucks involved. And we will continue to do that. Bill is old, rich, famous, and single. What's wrong with the trophy wife at that point? Again, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, it's a little creepy to me. It's not something I would do. My wife jokes all the time. Well, first of all, I'm not rich and I'm not famous. But she said if she were gone, I would find somebody younger. I'm not going to find anybody. Who the hell would want me, number one? I'm not rich. I'll just be old and single. Actually, I'll be old and widowed at that point, which isn't going to happen. She's going to outlive me by decades. I could have. I had a dream that I had. Actually, I had a dream this week that I passed out on the show, and I thought, well, somebody will call 911. But where would you tell them to go? I should give my wife's phone number out on the show for an emergency. She'd kill me. She will. One day, all of humanity shall know what the real evolution is. Maybe. That's an opinion, CA, which you're certainly entitled to. And listen, I'm not condoning again, it's a creepy relationship. It's a relationship. There's certainly more in it for her than there is for him. Well, yes, actually, even if I want to put what's in it for him into the equation, there's more in it for her. I mean, think about it. Robert. Well, she's older than 24, by the way. The age difference is a little bit more than, or less, I should say, than Belichick and whatnot. Listen, this isn't a new thing. This has gone on throughout history. And CA kind of alluded to that, I think. This isn't a new thing. Forever, there have been trophy wives, and I'm not condoning it, and I'm not saying, whatever. By the way, this woman, she's in prison for committing murder. Well, I guess secondary manslaughter. She killed somebody. And these kids, by the way, were put through hell. This is 20 years ago, right? Kenny, 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Again, and where do these kids go to get their reputation back? I'm sure that this has cost them in getting jobs in the private sector. There were lacrosse players, by the way, to be clear. I guess they could have played professional lacrosse if they were good enough to do so. It's not as lucrative as other pro sports, but they were going to a very good academic school to be able to get a leg up in life in the business world and in the private sector. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. And I got to believe it's hurt them. So where do they go to recoup those losses? They going to sue her for what? Hello, Bob. Bob Hildberg, our Patriot historian. We was on our one-on-one show a few weeks ago, and we had a great time talking about Patriots history. Happy birthday to Rodney Harrison and Nick Bonacani today. Patriots Hall of Famers. Rodney belongs in the NFL Hall of Fame, by the way. I don't think he's there, Bob. I think I made a mistake with somebody. I don't think it was Rodney, but Rodney belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well as the Patriots Hall of Fame. I also got to, there's somebody I got to reach out to. You and I talked about, Bob. And then I got a little ahead on my shows with guests, so I got to start booking January. And we talked about somebody, and for the life of me, I can't remember who the heck it was. Good morning, JB. For the Back It Up Binge podcast, you can catch JB on YouTube. Always hit that like button. You're the man, JB. Who else is out there watching? I haven't seen Taylor Phillips out there. Tom Adamczyk mentioned to me. And Tom Adamczyk, I got some good information through Tom. And who the heck was I talking to that day? Tom, was it your daughter? I think it was. I'm trying to get somebody to do some legwork for me in scheduling interviews. And she mentioned going to, UAlbany, maybe looking for people who want to intern, because I'm not paying anybody. This is a nonprofit operation here. You can tell we're working on a shoestring budget. Just look at me. Look at the studio. Look at this Santa hat that I got for free from Carnival. But we appreciate that. We appreciate you too, JB, by the way. Sea Chicken's original. Everybody gets their name. I mean, listen, I've had to put up with a lot of nonsense over the years, Robert. That's right. Don't hate on my Hawks. Green Bay has not won a game in Seattle since 2008. The wins continue. They've lost in some pretty interesting ways as well, Robert, as I remember. Listen, you know where he ought to land is probably at home on his couch, because if OBJ could play, maybe he can still play. I guess, is it 3 years ago? How long ago was it when the Cincinnati and the Rams played in the Super Bowl? He was very integral in that Rams run to the Super Bowl. But he barely has played since then. He can't play in a pass-friendly offense in Miami, where, again, there's a lot of guys who are going to get looks before he is, obviously. There's a guy whose reputation, is bigger than his actual talent. I think Neighbors is a better player than OBJ ever thought of. What's Bob got for us here? Marcus Jones is the only Patriots player to catch a pass, return at least one punt, and have an interception in a regular season game for the first, and the first time he did that was in the Pats win over Arizona, 12-22. He did it again on 12 against who? 5 pass receptions. That's interesting. So let me read this again. Catch a pass, return at least one punt, and have an interception in a game. Interesting. I would have thought if there was another guy I thought might have been able to do this, it might have been Troy Brown, who played some defensive back for the Patriots later in his career. You should. I believe you, Kenny. I was making a joke. Where are my comments gone? You guys have dried up on me here. Robert, we're all born innocent from love or lust. Love isn't selfish. I don't understand, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure where that came from. I'm not sure what Robert said. What did Robert? Did I miss a comment from Robert? About the age difference gap that CA is referring to? And again, I mean, I know I can see the angle that CA is coming at it from, and he's certainly entitled to that. Again, those who don't put as much stock in it, or maybe look at it a different way as far as who might be have more of a toll to pay. Maybe I'm going to pay a toll. Listen, I have no doubts that I have a huge toll to pay myself, right? I probably need to ride my wife's shirt tails to have any chance at an eternal life in some place better than this. So I have no illusions about that. The Pats, because that's why I don't throw a lot of stones. Well, I do throw a lot of stones, I guess, because I'm not without sin. Many of them. Oh, God. The Pats lost that game 22-18 to the Bengals on 12-24-22. I remember that game, actually. If I'm not mistaken, we were still in a playoff hunt at the time. Right in the playoff hunt until the last game against the Bills. I think it was 22. Google says Campbell signed as an assistant coach with Florida State after being cut. What? No, there's no way. He hasn't been cut. And there's no way he signed an assistant coach at a Division I school. There's no way. Don't trust Google. I'm not doubting you, Rick. I'm doubting the freaking internet. What's his name? Devondre Campbell Sr. There we go. Let's check news. I wouldn't trust the internet. So one day ago, ESPN says Campbell's days with 49ers are numbered. So he hasn't been cut yet. Oh, Rick, send me the link. Send me the link to that. And I don't think I can copy and paste here. So you need to send it to me in Messenger. Let me open that up in case you do. If you don't worry about it. This isn't you. This is what's wrong with the internet, right? I mean, that is as untrue as it can be. Unless we're talking about a different Campbell. But he hasn't even been cut yet. So how could he have signed with and first of all, even if he was cut, man, he's not going to sign with the Division I school. Google. You got to be careful. That's why you have to fact check everything you see on the internet, guys. It just, yeah. What's the saying? Something like, believe only half what you see on the internet and doubt the rest, or something like that. And then the quote is attributed to Abraham Lincoln. So Troy Brown caught 2 passes from Tom Brady and intercepted Drew Bledsoe in the Pats' 29-6 win over Buffalo. In 2004, he did not return any punts in that game. Interesting. Great. See, Bob is a wealth of Patriots knowledge. There is no toll booth, just energy that joins all the other energy in space. It's getting too deep for me. Well, good, because I'm planning on spending all my money before I'm gone. So I'm going to have a lot of fun in retirement. There will be a nickel. If I plan it out right, well, there'll be a lot of money left because I'm going to get struck down about a day after I retire. That would be karma. Speaking up loudly, probably. Or if things work out right, I'm going to live just long enough until I spend all my money. Sorry, those who we leave behind. Marcus had a 69-yard interception return for a TD in that game against the Bengals. That's interesting. How many Joneses? I mean, the Patriots have like cornered the market on Joneses over the years, or the last several years for sure. Working towards my itch award. You are, Rick. You got me looking it up, though. Oh, I got it. I didn't even get the joke. Rick. Oh, my God. That is awesome. That is, by the way, funny is always funny. That is awesome. I don't think that you don't get any itch points for that. Sorry. There's no itch points for making me laugh. Because that's funny. Did you read that somewhere? Be honest with me. Did you come up with that on your own? Because that is awesome, by the way. I wish you were feeling better and you could come out and have a beer with us on a Sunday afternoon before the holiday, Rick. You too, Kenny. If you're in the area on a Sunday, stop in to Creekside before 4 o'clock, because then I'm out of there shortly after that. Would love to buy you a beer, or put it on mine and Mark's and the Pros tab, so I only got to pay a third of it. That's even better. Just kidding. Happy birthday to Doug Doomler, 1950, December 15, 1950. He had nothing to do with Dumb and Dumber. He had nothing to do with the Dumb and Dumber movie. Dumbler. Oh, so it's not Doomler, it's Dumbler. Kids are riot today. All right, well, there's no comments. Guys, let's back the comments up. Let's fill the comments up. I've never been so caught up as I have today. Is it because we have a lack of stuff to talk about today? We barely talked about, we talked about Belichick a little bit. We barely talked about Army Navy. We barely talked about baseball. Drew's not with us. We would have gotten into more baseball, by the way. Thoughts on Dick Allen and Dave Parker getting in the Hall of Fame? Any memories of Bill Melton, Rocky Colavito, Merv Retman? Great player with the Orioles. And later, I think a bit player with the Reds more or less. I'm going to go to my picks. I'm going to get my picks out of the way here in ESPN, in our ESPN poll. Where are my picks? Hold on. Got to pick it up. And we'll give our little update. I didn't get a Thursday night pick in again. Telling you. As soon as college is over, because I do the college picks on Wednesday night during the college football huddle. And with college done, as far as the pick 'em goes, I didn't do my picks for Thursday night again. So anyway, we would have lost, so it really doesn't matter. Here's the standings. Last week, anyway, let's do last week's first. Week 14, Rick with 11. Oh, this is got the wrong one. Hold on. I got the nose pickers up. Here we go. Let's try again. Rick's probably got 11 here, I would think, as well. 11 for Rick. JB with 11. Great job, JB. The sports nut, who I still haven't figured out who this is. It's got to be somebody who watches the show, and he hasn't come forward. With 10. Paul with 10. The generic ESPN guy, we still don't know who that is either. 10. Poppy with 9, and then we got 4 8s. I don't know who Cam's picks are. That's a new one. They've only been picking about 4 weeks. Not sure who that is. Poppy's picks 2 is one with 9. And then Poppy picks 1, which I guess is actually Kenny, had 8. Keith only had 8. And Drew had 8 as well. For the season, we now have a new leader in the Skol Vikings, which is Rick Sherlock. Good job. With 4 weeks to go, he has 148. ESPN Fan has 147. JB is at 147 right there. Sportsnut within striking distance at 145. And then the rest of us will be fighting probably for 5th place as Paul leads that group with 134. Drew at 133. Poppy's picks 1 with 127. Yours truly, who's had a truly outstanding year at 124. Yikes. How awful is that? Anyway, here's my picks for today. These are all straight up. Remember, they're not my bets. I'll give you my bets maybe as we go along here. I do like Kansas City -4 over the Chiefs, but I certainly like them to win the game. The Bengals will take the win. The Redskins will take the win. The Baltimore Ravens will take the win. Carolina, we're going to take Carolina over the Cowboys. Carolina actually favored for the first time in, I don't know, like since 2022 or something like that. Jets, I'll take it over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The immortal Mac Jones, I think, is starting for the Jaguars today. We'll take the Texans, who I'm betting -3.5 or 4.5, whatever it ends up being, over the Dolphins. The Broncos is a bet today. We'll take them straight up as well. The Lions and Buffalo, this is a game I like the over in as far as a bet goes, 54.5, but I'll take the Lions at home. The Eagles over the Steelers. The Patriots, this could be a bet, but I'm not going to do it. Patriots over the Cardinals. Chargers is a bet today over the Buccaneers. Packers, if I'm going to bet this game, I'm betting the Packers over the Seahawks, and I'll take them straight up. Vikings over the Bears, and the Falcons over the Raiders. No bets there. So there's those picks. And where are we here? There's my picks. Oh, my picks on your show, Mac, were the Chargers -3, the Texans -3.5, and the Broncos -3.5. Those would definitely be bets in the shoebox. I know the numbers will be a bit different. I'm betting those 3 games and the Cowboys. I'm sorry, the Cowboys. The Bills and Lions over 54.5. That's my best bet of the day. 54.5 in that over. There's all the Joneses. Oh, they've had the well, I guess a lot of teams would have some Joneses, right? But the last few years they've had a ton of Joneses just in the secondary. But over the years, Aaron Jones, Cedric Jones, Chandler Jones, Chris Jones, Cyrus Jones, Don Jones. I don't remember Don Jones. Ezell Jones, Jonathan Jones, Kenyatta Jones, Mac Jones. Marcus Jones, Nate Jones, to Bucky Jones, Todd Jones, just to name a few Joneses who have played for the Patriots. If you don't know who they are, you shouldn't count on them. Who are they? Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, true. Well, we opened it up for everybody. So the problem is especially the guy, the sports nut, I know follows the show. So he's a real, he's picked, then they're picking. So there's a bunch of guys who get in and then they don't pick. So, the sports nut I know follows the show, but I think he watches later and he doesn't necessarily comment. So I know he watches the show. I've seen likes and whatnot. So I know who he is. I know he's somebody that I have, friended on Facebook. The generic ESPN guy, I have no idea who that guy is. All right. You guys are quiet today. So I'm going to have to go on to some baseball, I guess. Let me see. Any other? I I talked about the Jets, talking to Rob Johnson, who's a Titans GM right now, and Louis Riddick has had some interviews. Louis Riddick works for ESPN, former NFL player, has had several interviews for front office positions throughout the NFL, and to no avail. Those two are interviewing for the Jets GM job, which will in turn, once that position is filled, they will fill their coach's job. I don't know how enticing this team's going to be. I still don't think they run it back again with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how they can. The cap hit, I think, if they hold on to him long enough, is only going to be in the $20-some million. If they let him go. I don't know, without starting over, at least from that vantage point, the Aaron Rodgers vantage point, I'm not sure how you get a coach in here. I know a lot of people want to stick up for Aaron Rodgers, and they want to say, why are no players speaking up if he's a problem in the locker room? I'm not sure. And again, I think maybe, and Mac, maybe you can speak to this. And again, I don't want to throw Jack under the bus, but I feel like Jack has said that. Why don't we hear players speaking up? But I've had other people say it to me. And Jack, if you didn't say that, I apologize 100%. Players aren't going to speak up while he's there. They're just not going to do it. He's a powerful guy in his own mind anyway. And if he does stick around, it's going to cause problems if he sticks around. I don't think he will. But I guarantee you, when he's gone, these guys will have a lot to say. Some of these guys. I'm sure he's got backers on the team. Anyway, one guy who won't be coaching the Jets, who supposedly had an interest, was Bill Belichick, who was reported since this past weekend or end of this week, had reached out to the Jets, or his people had reached out to the Jets, I should say, to gauge their interest in having a conversation. Laughable that he would even think that the Jets would want to have a conversation after his debacle there. And also the way he's ripped them, not just during his coaching career, but in the last year that he's been in the media. Why would Woody Johnson hire him when he's done nothing but bash Woody Johnson for the last 12 months, basically? Well, not 12 months, but you know what I mean. And again, it also reinforces my opinion that Bill Belichick is not in Chapel Hill simply because he had this overwhelming desire to coach college football all of a sudden. He does think he can run an NFL-style organization, not just, offenses and defenses and schemes. That's not what he's talking about, by the way. He's talking about an overall organizational approach to the football program at North Carolina. I don't know that he had an overwhelming desire to prove that will work until he knew he wouldn't have a job in the NFL. And again, this isn't my opinion. I have exhausted myself looking at and reading basically every article out there to be found. And 95% of them have said the same thing. That his people and his group of confidants, which include Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniel, and others who have the ears and eyes of people around the league, they've spent time evaluating openings and potential openings. They saw Chicago as the best fit. Chicago was going to have no interest. And according to everything I can find, there was going to be no interest for Bill Belichick in this cycle and maybe future cycles. But he's left the door open for himself by having a contract that allows him out even before he ever coaches a game, only $10 million, not $30 million that's guaranteed, not the $50 million of the entire contract, but $10 million up until July 1st of 2025 before he ever coaches a game. And after that, $1 million. If Bill Belichick has some great success in North Carolina this year, which is debatable, can make arguments both ways, he has left himself an easy path out of North Carolina back to the NFL. If somebody was interested. Great. So so the toll booth operator is some anonymous guy who's going to say, you don't have the chips to get in. Your wife didn't vouch for you well enough. There's Jeremy. Jeremy, I want an opinion. Ben Johnson's name came up. And please don't tell me he's making $13 million as the offensive coordinator for Detroit, because it can't be true. If it is, please show me where that is. Now, what I do believe Ben Johnson's people want $13 million to be a head coach somewhere. But Ben Johnson's name has come up a lot in conversation about the Chicago Bears specifically. Is there a worse scenario for you and as a Lions fan and the Lions as an organization that Ben Johnson were to cast his lot in your division with a potential franchise quarterback to mold into his own image? I think it's a great spot for Ben Johnson. I know the Lions would do whatever they can. And Ben Johnson, I said this too, Jeremy. Ben Johnson has been very choosy about where he goes, and maybe I know he likes where he is and he likes his spot and he's got a young family and all this other stuff, and all that's fine until, you will run out of chances at some point. You can't say no to jobs forever and expect people to keep coming back, because your offense won't always be, the apple of everybody's eye. Things change, and things have changed fast in the NFL. And Ben Johnson, I think, needs to be careful he doesn't overplay the hand that he's holding some great cards. But if he overplays that hand, he could find out to mix my metaphors, he could find out there's no chairs left when the music stops at some point. I think this is the year Ben Johnson moves on, is I think there's going to be some attractive jobs open. I think the Bears is an attractive job. They want an offensive coach, which is why a guy like Belichick, age and defensive focus is why he wasn't going to be considered there, among other things, probably. But I think there's going to be other jobs. It's possible the Bengals job opens up. That would be very attractive to a Ben Johnson. I don't know how he would say no to the Bengals. But there, again, not knowing all the jobs that are open, there could be as many as 9 or 10 job openings. Ben Johnson's not going to a mess like the Jets. I get that. I just think the Bears are a good spot. What do you got for me? Bill took over UNC to keep a better eye on the captain of the cheerleading squad, his girlfriend. Yeah, we've had that. She's not a cheerleader. It's a funny line, Jeremy, for sure. But she's not a cheerleader. She has nothing to do with UNC. And we had some interesting debate on whether, again, the whole thing is creepy to me. But again, we've talked about whether, Bill or she is a better beneficiary in this relationship, and I'll vote for her every time. College is the only place where you can have total control of the roster. That's absolutely 100% true, which is why he hasn't necessarily got a NFL job. And there are, again, if he wanted to coach this year, control of the roster or not, it was going to be in college. He can have total control at North Carolina or any college. Every NFL team has been scared that the fact, even though he insisted in his interviews with Atlanta last year that he wasn't going to want total control, they're all going to be afraid that he's going to wrest power from them. Everybody wants to protect their own territory. So he can say until the cows come home that I only want to coach in the NFL. And he was willing to do that in Atlanta, but they didn't believe him. And they may be right. Bill Brett, he's also burned a lot of bridges. And again, he's at North Carolina because there was no landing place for him in the NFL this cycle. That is 100% accurate. Again, I'm not reading one article. I've gone to 15 different sources and read about 40 different articles that all point to the same thing. Now, yes, you'll find an article here and there, but 90% of them will talk about the fact that there was no job for him in the NFL. Now, nobody can get into the head of Bill Belichick. It is possible he would have taken this over some jobs that might have been offered. But I will tell you again, the fact that he left himself this huge opening to go back to the NFL anytime after July, which again won't happen, obviously, next year, $1 million buyout for a major college coaching position. There's not another job in the country that has got $1 million buyout that low. He's keeping his options open, and if that's not clear, then I'm missing something. Jeremy, stop. Just wanted to do that take for comedic value. It is funny. Listen. Yeah, so we had a major debate about this topic earlier. Jeremy, that was a little more serious than that, actually. It is funny. She could be leading the cheerleading squad. Maybe she's doing her doctorate work. She might be there for another 4 years. And hiring a GM of the NIL in Mike Lombardi was a stroke of brilliance. Again, that's what I said too. By the way, he spent time around Washington, where his son is coaching, Steve, and defensive coordinator, and they're running the defensive scheme basically that they ran with the Patriots to some success. And he saw that some of the schemes that they ran would work. But it isn't just that, and this is a good point. And I mentioned this maybe before you were here, Jeremy, but I'll repeat it. They're looking to run a professional type operation just on the field. They're looking to run the entire organization like a professional organization. But I will say that once they start dealing with college, some of the demands of these 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, it's a little different than dealing with pro agents. And if you see some of the petty things, not petty, well, I guess they're petty, but they're not petty. The demands about playing time before I come here, you're going to have to deal. There is a salary cap in the NFL. There is none in college, theoretically. There's no college. There's no spending cap. There's also nothing to tie them. NIL money or no NIL money at this point, until contracts start getting signed with these kids, there's nothing to keep a kid there. If you make promises to him and you don't fulfill them, he's gone the next year. You don't have that in the NFL. You don't have a chance to, and again, it can work for him or against him, the ability to turn over 75 or 80% of your roster in a year. And it happens. You just saw a head coach leave in Marshall, and 25 kids left the next day. Can't even play in their bowl game. It's a different world. And I can make arguments that he'll be successful or not successful. Either way, it's pretty easy to make. No, we know he's going to. Well, what's his criteria? What is that criteria then? Because he's got a franchise quarterback. What else does he want? They want an offensive coach. They're willing to pay. Maybe they're not willing to pay. But what is that criteria other than money and a quarterback? I don't know why. I cannot think of one reason. So, and again, you're closer to that situation than I am, Jeremy. That's why I want your opinion. It's not about money to stay in Detroit because they cannot pay him what they pay a head coach. Because somebody's going to offer him more money than Dan Campbell's making, potentially. How do you do that? That's impossible. You don't pay your coordinator what you're paying your head coach. And again, he can be picky for now. If he's being picky 2 years from now, well, again, the music may stop playing without a chair for him because this offense, again, it's built to do well, but people will find a way to slow it down. And offenses have good years and bad years, and we've seen it. And your stock suddenly plummets and you're not the hot kid on the block anymore. We see it every year. The guy in, and again, I'm forgetting his name. I want to say Sproul, but the offensive coordinator for Houston has seen his own stock drop a lot. He didn't turn down jobs, I don't think, last year, as Ben Johnson did. We hear turned down the Carolina job, or I think it was a Carolina job. Maybe that was 2 years ago. I don't remember. He can be picky. Now, problem is, when you don't know when it's time to stop being picky. You don't know when your time is up, and that music's going to stop, but it will. I want to know what that criteria is outside of money and a quarterback, because they're both probably there in Chicago. Now, I can understand you're going to say you don't want him to go to Chicago, but I'd like to know why Ben Johnson won't go to Chicago. He said it has to be a front office that are willing to fix what's wrong. They keep letting now, I think they got a new the GM is new, though, since Uberfloss came in, whatever the frick his name is. I think. How long has he been there? He hasn't been there that long, has he? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check. And maybe he gets fired. I don't think he's going to be. How long's he been there? Ryan Poles has been how long has Ryan Poles been GM of the Bears? 2022. So he hasn't been part of this. He was there. He's only been through one cycle. Now, again, we talked about this earlier in the show, too. This is an organizational issue, and you do speak to that. The Jets and the Cowboys. And I guess I can throw the Bears in there because of the McCaskey family, which goes back to the Hallis family. The fish rots from the head down. And you can have GMs. Now, Bolus hasn't been part of this except for Eberflus. So I guess I get your point. So it's not the front office. Well, it is a front office. It's ownership. That's what we're talking about. So again, it's not the same guy hiring coaches. Ryan Poles has only hired one coach. Unless my math is wrong. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm not sure. Again, I could be totally wrong, but I would think the Bears, unless he's taking this above that, because again, you are referring to that as well, Jeremy. I can't see how he's going to just discount that if they throw a big dollar number at him. He also added not only great front office, but a great roster. There's some talent on this Bears roster. This team was 4-2 before the season started. And again, my guess is, you're going to discount the fact that Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a very good quarterback. Has he played like a rookie quarterback at times this year? Absolutely. But it's not like your guy's without warts. Or most guys are without warts. I don't want to pick on your guy. Again, I got to believe, again, going back to Belichick and his people, his circle, which included Matt Patricia, Josh McDaniel, and a bunch of other guys that he trusts that have been his ears and eyes around the league and know about this. And they, again, it's been highly reported that they got together and evaluated every team and every game this entire season. And that the Bears were the best place that was going to have an opening. And that would be the best place. Now, they weren't going to be interested in him, nor were any other teams, according to his eyes and ears, which is why he's at UNC. Now, again, you can say that, maybe Belichick's and his people's evaluation of rosters may not be that good, though, based on his last few years in New England. But they evaluated this as the best landing spot for him. And his criteria would be a team that's ready to win now because he wants to break Shula's record if he was in the NFL. So, again, I'm just throwing out other things, Jeremy. You could very well be right. But I think, and his criteria is, you certainly probably have a better idea than I do. But I would argue that the roster is not as bad as you think. You got a quarterback and probably a stud wide receiver. They're going to play for another 15 years, theoretically. Did you see what goes on? What it goes to? What are we talking about? I don't know what we're talking about. What goes from cheap? What goes from cheap to astronomical? Belichick's buyout goes to $1 million. I don't know what we're talking about. I guess. Unless we're still on Ben Johnson. I don't know where. Help me out, Jeremy. We got about 13 minutes left here, by the way. I need a little help. I'm not sure what we're talking about. What goes from cheap to astronomical. So help me out. Thank you. If you think it's creepy, well, it's going to get real creepy when her mother moves in. Didn't Jerry Jones pay Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator as much as... Wait, that's different, by the way. I don't know if that's true or not, by the way. It's possible. Again, I'd have to do some research there, but I doubt. You're not going to pay your offensive coordinator. Again, if he did, that's Jerry Jones, and that's just stupid. If he did do that, again, it's entirely possible, AC, that he did that, but that would also speak to the dysfunction and why this organization hasn't won a Super Bowl or was won one playoff game in 30 years. Different situation for sure. I got to find out. Ryan Poles has been reported that Floss and the management are having big disagreements this entire year. But he only hired one guy. That's my point. 3 years on Bears GM, I believe. He was hired in 2022, June. Sorry, I moved on to something else here when I was looking up. But he was hired in 2022, so he hired one head coach. And he's got 3 years left, you're saying? No way you were wrong. No way you were wrong. Only Paul Spada is wrong on this show. I'm still waiting for Jeremy to tell me what goes from cheap to outrageous. It's got to be something with the Lions. We were talking about the Lions and Belichick, and that was it. CA, the kids and families are going to get smarter, choosing the likes of Oregon instead of schools in state who don't take so much of their money from taxpayers for income redistribution won't be cool. Well, again, the fact that this is what we're talking about is part of the problem in college football. Scholarships are not taxable. NIL money is certainly taxable. Pay for play, and all these organizations are going to have $20 million to actually pay, again, not all the athletes in their athletic programs, not just football, but they're going to have $20 million in revenue sharing, is what they call it, to share with players. Josh McDaniel had a great record, 20 and 30. Again, Josh McDaniel is not a good head coach. Josh McDaniel's a great offensive coordinator. That's not arguable, by the way. There's a lot of guys out there who are great coordinators and not great head coaches. Look at Spagnuolo, Steve Spagnuolo, right? With the KC defensive coordinator, great defensive coordinator, terrible head coach. But again, there's 1,000 examples out there. Matt Patricia, great defensive coordinator. Let's not talk about offense because he's not an offensive coach. Bill Belichick's biggest freaking mistake ever. But there's a lot of coordinators out there who just don't make good head coaches, and that's Josh McDaniel. Wade Phillips. Oh, thank you, Danny. You're the best, man. I appreciate it more than you know. Jeremy, where are you? I want to answer my question. What goes? I guess you're not going to. Maybe you're gone. Yeah, I want to see what it is. Did you see what it goes to after the year? It goes from cheap to astronomical. I can't imagine what we're talking about. Oh, are we talking about the roster, maybe? I don't know what we're talking about. I wish you're still here to help me, buddy. Josh McDaniel deserved better. Listen, he had better with the Broncos, and he didn't file. He's not a good head coach. That's it. End of story. Did he deserve better with the Raiders? Sure. He created a lot of his own problems in LA. Well, they were still in Oakland, I think, right? Or were they in Vegas? I guess they were in Vegas already. But again, his record as a head coach has nothing to do with his prowess as a coordinator. He's a great coordinator. Damn, I wish Jeremy were still here. I don't want to leave this. He's not now. Again, I won't agree. I can't agree with you here, AC. I'm going to assume Billy's premise is Josh McDaniel's a horrible head coach, and he is. He's had 2 chances, AC, not just one. He's never going to get a coach. He's never getting a coaching job again. Never. He did okay. He did it. He didn't do okay in Denver. I mean, he had his best team was what? 8-8. He drafted. Oh gosh, isn't that terrible? I can't remember his name. He drafted the Florida quarterback. Help me out. It'll come to me. Josh McDaniel. Hold on. Oh, really? I'm getting there we go. Here's his head coaching record. His entire head coaching record. Denver 8-8. Denver 3-9. Vegas 6-11. Vegas 3-5. It's not good. Plus, he drafted. Frick is his name, man. Can't think of his name. Isn't that terrible? Maybe the best college player of all time. I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. Isn't that terrible? I mean, we can agree to disagree, but how is that? Where do you figure he did okay? 8-8, and then you regress to 3 wins the next year. Belichick's payoff of her when she leaves, that will be astronomical. Oh, that will be. Yes. We can agree to disagree. We do that a lot on this show. It's fine. Again, I love Josh McDaniel. As my offensive coordinator, there's not a guy in the league I'd hire to run my offense before Josh McDaniel. To run my football team? No, I wouldn't. Tebow, thank you. I see it there. He didn't really have the chance with the Raiders. He got a year and a half, and he started throwing players under the bus. Josh McDaniel, there's something in his makeup that doesn't allow him to be a good head coach, but allows him to be a great offensive coordinator. Tim Tebow, thank you. He drafted him, by the way, so that shows you a little bit about talent evaluation. He drafted him at the end of back in the first round. Sorry. I mean, Tim Tebow was never going to be a great NFL player. Wasn't even good. McDaniels was a faderettes issue, no doubt. Yes, he had, again, it wasn't all the cards he was dealt, man. Again, he was dealt some bad cards, AC. But he had his own issues there, too. And he got called out on them. But not the big issue like Bill was got fired twice, Tebow. What? but not the biggest issue. And like Bill Belichick got fired twice. We got fired twice without 6 Super Bowl rings. So in between. Tebow, thank you. Another one. Tim Tebow. Yes, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I can't believe I forgot that name. We talk about him every other show, it feels like. The players should have his players threw him under the bus. Well, I agree. Whatever. We agree to disagree. He's never going to be a good head coach in this league. He's never getting another shot, by the way. You don't fail twice. There's very few guys who fail and fail badly that get another chance. And however you look at Denver, again, he won 11 games in 2 years. So, anyway, that's weird. Add that up to 12 and 17. Wikipedia can't even add. Maybe I shouldn't use them as a reference at all either. Enjoyed making a whole show, Keith, and all, especially some of the all new folks. This has become our lull in the woods between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. Guys, we got one more show before Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody I don't see next week, but I don't know. Maybe. Not in the pros. He's not getting a shot there. I fully expect him to go to North Carolina with Belichick, by the way. Him and Patricia. As it's been widely reported, as I said, that the three of them were getting together every single week of this NFL season, evaluating every game and every team and potential openings. So you wouldn't be doing that with guys you didn't plan on taking with you. TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football League semis, championship and consolation brackets. Who's in them, by the way? I don't even know. Let's look quick. I got time. I got 10:27. Yeah, we only got a couple of minutes, so I don't know if I got time to do this. DA. Bear with me a second. TGI Sports Talk matchups. All matchups. So CA is playing Boss 8. Nice team. I don't know who that is. In the semis. And the Honey Badgers are playing the Headless Horsemen. And Keith is playing in the consolation semifinals against Nick's nifty team. I don't care. Good luck to all those in the semis and in the championship next year. Off to the West Coast for Billy. Travel safe, Billy. Merry Christmas if we don't see you next week. Merry Christmas to everyone except Bill Olfer. We'll have next week to do Merry Christmases. So I thank all of you guys. We had a great fun, and I always have fun with this show on a Sunday morning. Let me sign off before I run out of time to share this on later on you know what I got here. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you later.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports